Cashew here with the DMVSTREAM.
Has concluded.
The DMVSTREAM.COM play.
Sean Parker along with Nick Allison.
I always wanted to play volleyball in college.
Cordova trying to dig it out of the board. And they score!
Hello and welcome to the Prep Zone. I'm your host, Matt Present. I'm joined today by Brian Doyle and Kevin Ware. And guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Matt.
Absolutely. Now, you guys, both former coaches in Virginia, now teaming up to not only host a podcast, but host an all-star game. Tell us a little bit about the Nova Challenge.
Well, it's the fourth year of the game. We started, as you mentioned, Kevin and I are former coaches. And when we used to coach, before all the realignment took place, there was an all-star game, sometimes just in Fairfax County. Sometimes it expanded, and so we tried to bring it back 4 years ago, and we involved Loudoun, Fairfax, Prince William, Arlington, Alexandria in 2 all-star games at the end of the season.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to it. DMV Stream will have you covered on March 19th, the day of the game. But let's get right into our show and what we're talking about today. Now, it's a little bit different than usual. We're making our playoff push. We're talking about the teams that are hot, the teams you do not want to face come playoff time. We're also talking about conference parity and the number of teams that really have a shot to go deep into the playoffs, and then finally getting to the players of the year in the different conferences. A lot of players to discuss, and you can catch us on Facebook Live, on DMVSTREAM.COM, on our website, on demand, and on local TV as well in Northern Virginia. Now, as always, before we get into the meat of the show, we're going to step aside and let BJ Kubarulis how to get your play featured on our weekly countdown.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to an all-new season of Top Plays here at allmetsports.com and WashingtonPost.com. I'm BJ Kubarulis. All right, like the previous 3 seasons, we're continuing our exciting interactive high school basketball show, a show that allows you, parents, coaches, players, and fans, to send in your video submissions for ranking in our Top 10 style weekly show. Each week, we'll reveal the latest highlights, dunks, sweet assists, and bizarre happenings from across the region. All you gotta do is tweet me the link. I'm at BJ Koob, and remember, you gotta hashtag it AllMets. You can send in your Huddle, YouTube, Vimeo, really any video link, and we'll consider it for use in the upcoming episode of Top Plays. Remember to tune in every Monday to see if your video made it at allmetsports.com. We'll see you soon.
And welcome back. It's playoff preview time. Brian, let's get right into it. Who are a few teams you absolutely do not want to face come playoff time?
Right. Well, Kevin and I think like coaches, since we're both former coaches. A couple come to mind in Conference 7. Lake Braddock is one. They have 2 kids that can really score the basketball. Corey Pelham is one. He scores about 23 a game. Quentin James is another one. And they changed their style of play around holiday time. They were playing a really slow-paced game in the 30s and 40s. And all of a sudden, they're putting a lot of points up on the board. They're playing a fast pace. So as a coach, that's a tough style to play against, and especially when you have 2 scorers like that. So they're a team to watch, certainly in Conference 7. Conference 6, got 2 teams. We'll mention Madison as one team, and Hayfield as another. Madison has had a really good season. They're 15-5 overall. Johnny Korish kind of is the engine that makes them go. He's a guard. He's an athletic kid. He can shoot the ball. You can see he's hit 21 threes. He's averaging about 15 a game. He can get to the basket. Right here, attacking the hole in transition. So he's a quality player, and I think Kevin Roller is really one of the better coaches around in terms of game planning and strategy. So they're certainly a team to watch. Hayfield is the #1 seed in that league in Conference 6, but I think has been a little bit under the radar. Not a team that a lot of people have been talking about this year, but they've got Langston Gaither, who's probably a region player of the year candidate. You see him there averaging, just under 25 a game. He's a beast, really one of the best players in Northern Virginia. So anytime you go up against a player like that in postseason, he can explode and really carry a team. So that's another team you really want to watch out for in the postseason.
Several teams with really dynamic players that you talked about there, Brian. But Kevin, you have a couple teams on your list that haven't lost recently whatsoever.
Well, let's start with Potomac Falls. Potomac Falls, winner of their last 10 games, a lot of weapons. Christian Sweezy signed with Fairmont State. They have Brian Sweeney's having a great senior year, and then lately David Walls has been playing real well for them, scoring a lot of points. So Potomac Falls is behind Loudoun Valley, I think probably in the top tier of teams out west. Also, Stonebridge is a team you can't forget about. They're a team that has knocked off Chantilly, has beaten Osborne, has great guard play. They're led by Evan Buckley, who's a super sophomore. He's averaging 18.5 points per game, 5 assists. He's got offers already from Bucknell and several other D1 schools. So he's somebody you definitely can't underestimate, and I wouldn't want to play them in the first round. Last team I want to mention is out in Prince William. That's Hilton High School, winner of their last 7 games. They're led by Dwayne Hill, a great scorer, a great athlete, big, strong kid. So that is a team that is coming on and playing well, and you see a clip of him here, averaging almost 16 points a game, but almost 7 rebounds a game. So there's a lot of teams that, as coaches, Brian said, we wouldn't want to play, and these are a few that we wouldn't want to prepare for heading into the postseason.
Now, of course, coaches won't tell their teams they are afraid of facing anyone, right, coaches?
No, never say that.
Fear no one, respect everyone.
Right. Yeah, definitely don't say you fear anyone, but as old coaches who look at teams play a lot now, you better be ready to play these teams come postseason.
Yeah, especially if you're playing an elimination game. You play some of these teams, they all present certain challenges that we've mentioned, whether it's an explosive score or a lot of balance or a unique style of play. So there's a lot of things that make you nervous as a coach. We've mentioned a few of them, I think, right here.
All right, now it wouldn't be an episode of the Prep Zone if we didn't recap a game from a week ago. Just a moment ago, Brenton Randolph sat down with Alex Littlehales, and they broke down Potomac and Episcopal.
Hey everybody, Brenton Randolph here, and I'm joined by Ben Kessler for our weekly recap. And for this one, we're going to be looking at a game between the Potomac School and Episcopal, both teams looking to stop a skid, and this one went right down to the wire.
Yeah, you said it. Potomac School and Episcopal both came into this game on 3+ game losing streaks, both needing a win on a Saturday evening tilt. And it looked like for a while Episcopal was going to get it done. They took a demanding lead, especially in the first quarter, led 13-1, led by 10 at half, but in the second half it was a totally different story. Potomac School made adjustments, ran everything through their big power forward, Devin Flowers. As you see right there, he was unstoppable in the post, had a nice turnaround. Jay was hitting floaters, had 31 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 blocks. So it was all him. They outscored Episcopal by 11 in the second half, took their first lead at the end of the third quarter. That's really where they did it. Then in the fourth, it was back and forth. Episcopal made some threes down the end. Xavier Johnson made some threes to make it close there, as you see right here in the second half, but Potomac held on. They made their foul shots down the end. Devin Flowers.
Welcome back. Now, we want to spotlight a couple conferences in Virginia, Conference 5 and Conference 14, both of which have incredible parity this year. Brian, let's start with Conference 5, and on the boys' side, what stands out to you?
Well, you mentioned it, the parity. Centerville has really had one of the best seasons they've had in years. They'll go into the tournament as a #1 seed. You see the teams listed there. But in that league, from one night to the next, from one week to the next, you just don't know who's going to be hot and who's going to knock off who. And Westfield is that last seed in Conference 5, and they're defending state champions, been to 2 straight state finals. And they're very capable of knocking off the #1 seed Centerville Wildcats. So that that league right there is truly a toss-up. You have to say Centerville and Chantilly are slight favorites, but any other team in that league is capable of making a run right through that league.
Now, you mentioned Centerville and Chantilly, not only dangerous on the boys' side, but also on the girls' side.
They are. There's great parity in Conference 5 on the girls' side, the old Concord District. Oakton is good every year. You see them 20-2. Chantilly, very strong team. They've got a Division I kid. Oakton has 3 Division I kids. Herndon's got Division I players. Centerville, I don't know that they necessarily have players of that caliber, but they've beaten Chantilly and Herndon. In fact, they beat them each in the same week and have competed well against Oakton. So some really talented teams.
Brian, you want to mention your daughter, right? Your daughter Callie Doyle,
Oh,
returning.
she's on
Centerville. She's
on
an
the
all-district
Centerville team.
player, a very good player. He won't mention her, but I will. And
Well, I'll mention another one. Allie Gambone is a soccer player who's turning into a basketball player, really an elite athlete. Recently took a visit to UNC for soccer, and she can compete at that level on the soccer field, on the pitch. But she's starting to get more comfortable on the basketball court, and she can kind of control the game with her athleticism. So both boys and girls side Conference 5, tournament time's a great time of year, and it's certainly going to be that way in Conference 5.
I trust you were just trying to be modest. You didn't forget your daughter.
He was.
No, I didn't, Callie, I didn't forget you. I'll let Coach Wren talk about it.
That's right. That's
All right,
right.
I wanted to give you the opportunity
Thank
to
you.
apologize.
Stay in your room.
All right, moving from Conference 5 to Conference 14, Kevin, what stands out to you?
Conference 14 is the 5A district in Loudoun County, my favorite district for sure. You've got Potomac Falls, Stonebridge, Broad Run, and Tuscarora. And you can see there that Potomac Falls is leading that conference right now. Their overall record 17-5, but they're 8-1 in the league. And just like Brian said about Conference 5 and Fairfax, this is another conference where anybody can beat anyone on a given night. Broad Run's a very dangerous team, very athletic, gets up and down the floor. Tuscarora has a ton of athletes. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens here in the postseason, and people out there in Loudoun, get ready for a fun postseason tournament for Conference 14.
We are in our playoff push. It will certainly be fun as we sort things out, find out which teams are in and how far they'll go. And before we get into the players of the year, that's what's coming up next, we're going to step aside and join Alex Harris for this week's Inside the Paint, featuring Sharif Kenny. Hey guys, I'm Matt President. I'm joined by Alex Harris, and we're going inside the paint. Alex, we're talking about Sharif Kenny. He's from Rock Creek Christian. They're climbing the ranks, one of the best teams in the area, and this sophomore is a big reason why.
Yeah, absolutely, and I believe they're the #1 ranked team in the Washington area right now, and one of the only undefeated teams left. They're a pretty impressive team. I actually got a chance to get out and see them play earlier this year against Virginia Academy, and it was a great game. I think it was a 4-point win by Rock Creek, and Sharif was a big part of that win. So we're going to go ahead and roll into a few clips here, and there's a theme today, and it's a pretty fun theme, and we're going to see how he attacks the basket and how he's able to finish with players around him and be creative, whether it be through contact or, for one example, is a Euro step, which is what we're going to start with right here. So as we can see, he's number 0. He's right there about the top of the key, and he's going to attack hard down that middle of the floor. We're going to go real slow, stop right there. Now, this is the fun part. He attacks right into the middle, and he is not scared. He's definitely not intimidated to get right in there. He's got literally 4 of the teams, 4 of National Christian's players right there around him. They've got right, left, front, back, and then as you notice on that left side of the screen, we're seeing that you have that 5th player. He's going to make a great move here. He's going to use that Euro step, going right through the gap, right into that open area, finishing that bucket off. So I'm really impressed with this. It doesn't only show me just the mental strength to get in there in the middle of the entire team, but also the skill and the awareness to make the play happen. And I do want to make one comment here about the Euro step, and it's interesting, and I do want to play it one more time as I say this, but the Euro step is so often misunderstood.
Welcome back to the Prep Zone. Once again with Brian Doyle and Kevin Wareham. And now we're going to get into the fun part, the players who stood out most to us throughout the season. Obviously, a lot of big-time performers in Virginia, and we would be remiss if we didn't give them the recognition they deserve. So we're going to go conference by conference and working our way through, and you guys are going to tell us who has stood out to you and who you think should be Player of the Year in each conference. So let's start with Conference 4.
Conference 4 is led by 2 outstanding performers. First is Dwayne Hill from Hilton High School. We mentioned him earlier. Here's the graphic again, 16 points a game, almost 7 rebounds. A very strong physical presence, big part of the Bulldogs' run last year to the state tournament. Also is James West. James West, the 4th, is from Freedom Woodbridge. He is going to be going to prep school next year, but then he's going to be headed to Mount St. Mary's. Very quick, gets his shot off, outstanding range, very crafty, and has done a great job for the Eagles. And for his father. His father's a coach, so I'm sure that's an exciting time for his dad to be coaching him his senior year. But those two players are standouts in Conference 4.
Now in Conference 5, how about Bryce Douglas at Centerville?
Yeah, we've talked about Conference 5 and the parity they have. So there's probably several other candidates, but I think most people would agree that Bryce Douglas is the leading candidate for a Player of the Year honors in Concord 5. He's a sophomore transfer and has really led Centerville to one of the best seasons they've had in years. He's hit a number of buzzer beaters. He can play the point guard, he can play off guard, he can hit the perimeter shot, he can get to the basket. And when the game's on the line, Coach Kevin Harris really looks to put the ball in Bryce's hands, and he's delivered for them this year, no doubt. Go ahead.
No, Conference 6, next on the list, Langston Gaither. He's a player we featured here previously, and you have some really high remarks that you had for him off the air.
Yeah, justifiably so. Langston Gaither, not only a legitimate candidate for Player of the Year in Conference 6, but I think in all of 6A North, he's really a beast. I mean, you see those numbers, 24 a game. He's a big, strong kid. Kevin likes to sometimes call kids like that bullies on the basketball court.
He is a little bit of a bully, but in a good way. He's man strength. He's out there and he's doing what he wants to do. And I agree with Brian. I think he's probably the best player in 6A North.
Yeah, he's also one who's indicated that he's going to head to prep school. Has had an early Division I offer, but gosh, him with another year of physical development and year of experience, he'll be I think he'll be highly recruited coming out of prep school.
So it sounds like he really has the raw strength, that bully on the court, as you said. What is he going to develop in that extra year in prep school?
I think what he'll develop is the ability to be at that next level. I mean, every level you go up, you're going to have a little more strength. You need to add a little more talent. And I think that opportunity to get bigger and stronger is going to be, and practice his shot. I think, you're going to get a lot of reps. You're going to go to prep school where you're going to practice almost every day. It's not like high school. You're there to play basketball and obviously get an education, but players coming out of prep school are better basketball players for sure.
Yeah, I think also just the year of maturity, going away to school, living away from home, managing your time, all those things that, if you're a freshman in college, not only are you adjusting to a really high level of basketball in a longer season and all the demands, but certainly all the demands of being a student in college. So when you go away to prep school, you have an opportunity to really develop in that way too, just more on a personal maturity side.
All right, let's keep rolling along here.
Conference
now.
7?
We're on to Conference 7, yeah.
Conference 7, I'm going to jump in because the two players that I want to mention are Dale Mackey from West Potomac and Khalil Williams-Diggins, both outstanding guards. And I want to mention Daryl Mackey first because he's only a sophomore. Brian was on the show a couple weeks ago here talking about sophomore sensations, and he's one of them. He's a coach's kid, which is pretty cool. So he has all those intangibles, but he's also an amazing athlete.
Yeah, coach's son, his father was the coach before Coach Houston, who's there now, and he's a great player. I mean, we're going to hear a lot about him, certainly in the Washington area. He'll be an all-Met candidate before he's done. But Khalil Williams-Diggins is a good one, too. And, a lot of people say it's a guards game, and when playoff time rolls around, if you got two guys like that can control the basketball and put the ball in the basket and get your team organized on offense, and they're both good defensive players as well. Those guys, I think, are both strong candidates, not to take anything away from anybody else in that league, but those guys are certainly Player of the Year.
And they're talented from top to bottom. It's just not those two guards. They have a ton of talent, and you showed a clip of their coach, David Houston, great guy, great coach, and is a fan of our podcast and a friend of the podcast. And I tell you what, he knows a lot about basketball. We always have trivia questions, and he does a great job, and he's the first one to tweet me the answers. So we're very happy for his success, and he's loaded this year. He really is.
It certainly sounds like it. Now, you mentioned Mackey, their leading scorer, a sophomore. Mm-hmm. Does that hurt his case in the vote getting because he has a couple more years?
Good question. I think sometimes I wouldn't mind being in the room when the coaches have that conversation. Sometimes if there's two guys that are close, you lean towards the senior. I think, what you hope these guys do is really focus on their team goals and let the individual stuff fall into place. But, that's a tough one. He's a super athlete. He's got some highlights they've shown on your show, Play of the Week, some alley-oop dunks and that sort of thing. Williams Diggins is a great player as well. So I don't know, maybe they could be co-players of the year in that
We'll
league.
see. We'll see. I think Coach Houston just wants to win. I don't think he's worried about it, and I don't think Mackey or Williams Diggins are worried about it either. They just want to win, and they've got the talent to do so.
Both deserving candidates. Now moving on to Conference 8.
Conference 8 is a very strong Prince William conference, and there's two names that come up all the time when you talk about these Prince William teams, and that's Braden Galt from Battlefield High School, who's pictured here, 17 points per game, 43 three-pointers, a junior. We mentioned the bully and Langston Gaither. This is another bully on the court, uses his strength and his size, and does not look like your typical high school junior. But has a lot of talent, a lot of skill. And Battlefield, we mentioned West Potomac is loaded. Battlefield's another team that top to bottom, they can put people out on the floor to get it done every night. Now, they've lost a couple games. The last 3 games they lost to a tough Rock Creek team. Then they lost to 2 in-county rivals in Osborne and in Stonewall last night. But Braden Galt is a leader of a very good team. The other person I want to mention is Anthony Pearson. Quarterback for the football team at Osborne, but also a very good basketball player, averaging almost 20 points per game. And I had a chance to see him play Stonebridge, which was a loss for Osborne, but he showed a lot of leadership. He showed a lot of ability. Big, strong kid. I think he's looking at playing football maybe in college, but he's having an outstanding year and does a great job for Coach Rocky Carter.
All right, we're halfway through our Player of the Year candidates, breaking down each one, but we're going to take a break and check out this week's episode of the PrepCast, where Ben Kessler sat down with Gonzaga coach Steve Turner to talk to him about his milestone 300th victory.
Hi, I'm Ben Kessler here with Gonzaga College High School coach Steve Turner, who got big accomplishment, his 300th win on Friday night against St. Mary's Riken. Coach, just talk about that accomplishment and what it means to you and your program.
I would say it doesn't mean as much to me as just being able to see our team and our players be able to have success. It's definitely a great accomplishment and a great feat, and something you look at in terms of the numbers as you go over your career. But I hope that that's not all I get. I'm hoping to be able to hopefully be in a position to be here and get another 300. But what I'm most proud of is the fact that the guys who've been a part of this program to help those victories come through.
Yeah, and Coach, just reflect a little on the past 2 WCAC titles, 8 DC Gatorade Players of the Year. How much of this is a tribute to all the great teams and players you've had in the past and this year?
Well, it's definitely
To see that complete interview, go to our website, DMVSTREAM.com. Now we're back here on this week's edition of the Prep Zone, going through Player of the Year candidates, coaches giving their expert opinions here as we move along. Now we go to Conference 13. Alan Treacle, what has he brought to the table?
Well, Wakefield is another team. Kevin talked about Battlefield being loaded. Wakefield's loaded. I think they're state championship contenders. They've got any number of guys that make them go. Alan Treacle is certainly one of them. You see there, 16 points, almost 4 assists. Don't foul him late in the game. He'll ice the game for them. That's pretty high. You don't see that percentage from the line in high school a whole lot.
And so important to have a primary ball handler have that high a percentage.
Absolutely. Playoff time, end of close games, he makes coaches pretty comfortable. You see him a nice dish there for the 3 and in transition. He recently scored his 1,000th point for Tony Bentley and the Wakefield Warriors. He's got weapons around him, Halil Parks, Amari Cooper, both really talented players. But again, when you've got a guard like that, that's a nice oop right there. It's nice to have guys you can throw that to. But Alan Treacle is certainly a candidate for Player of the Year in Conference 13.
We always talk about guard play in the postseason. You have to have a good guard. When you get to conference level and the regional level and the state level, I think high school basketball is really about guards.
You sound like you're speaking from experience.
I am. I had a good guard years ago.
And to the state semifinals.
Right, and it was about guard play.
In that game.
We did. We don't want to mention that. But I think Alan Treacle leads a trio of very good guards, and they're going to be tough to beat. And you do not want to play at Wakefield, because that's an awesome place to watch a game. And they rock it. They got a DJ. It's a lot of fun, and we tried to get in a game there a couple years ago when Potomac was highly ranked and had to play at Wakefield, and everyone thought Potomac was going to win, but Wakefield took them down. Tony Bentley's got it going on over there.
Wow, certainly a team to watch. Several really good players leading the way, and I think that's something that we've kind of come to several times throughout the show, is that you need a really good ball handler and you need a balanced team, right?
You do. You need to be deep, I think.
Yeah, you need depth in the postseason. You need a go-to guy that can get you a big bucket if you're going through a drought or at the end of the game. But certainly ball handling, depth, and balance can be three keys of many in postseason play.
All right, let's try to rapid fire our way through the last few here. District 14.
District 14 is led by two great guards. Brian Sweeney from Potomac Falls, senior leader, and you can see his stats here, having a phenomenal year, has an awesome left-hand three-point shot, but very heady, very crafty. And Anthony Cooper from Broad Run, another quick guard, averaging almost 20 points per game. Both these guys have had exciting senior years and have multiple game-winning shots. So I mentioned Conference 14 being fun, and these are two of the best players in that conference.
All right, Conference 15.
Conference 15, I think Kevin and I are in agreement. I guess there could be some argument in the area, but Potomac from down in Dumfries is one of the best teams in the whole Washington area. I had a chance to see them play early against Battlefield. Talk about a team that has depth and balance. They have it all. They can come at you in waves. But I think it begins and ends with Nana Opoku, 15-8. He can block shots as well. You see averaging 3 a game. He's a Mount St. Mary's commit. Jamie and Krishna at Mount St. Mary's is getting into Prince William County. Also looking at James West the fourth we mentioned earlier. Nana had a triple-double a few weeks back with points, rebounds, and blocks. So when you have that kind of presence inside, you know, you've certainly got a chance to win a lot of games, and he's really led Potomac this year.
Jordan Miller, a guy in 21B that we are featuring on an upcoming episode of Inside the Paint.
And you picked a good player to pick. Jordan here, awesome picture of him. Coached his older brother, Javon, playing at Ferrum College right now. Junior, I'd say the best junior in Loudoun County and one of the best juniors in the Northern Virginia area. Great kid, very skillful. Deceptively athletic.
He's long.
He's long. Yeah. They put him at the top of a zone press, and he's probably got a 6'7" wingspan. He's phenomenal and having a great year. So I think he's going to be the best player in that district. The last Loudoun County district is Conference 22, and it's about Don Fergala. Don Fergala, one of the best scorers that Loudoun has ever seen. 36 points per game. You can see his stats there. Needs to play in college, great quickness, shoots the ball extremely well, great free throw shooter.
So he gets to the free throw line,
yeah,
too.
he scored, 63 points earlier in the year, and he was 28 of 30 from the line.
Yeah,
so
when I saw him play, I think I saw him play against Langley, he was 11 for 11 from the line in the fourth quarter again. I mean, if you
he gets to the basket, he draws fouls, and just a great kid to watch. And, you know, the champs right now got a good one.
Yeah, well, top scorer in the area. I think that says about all you need to hear for itself. For Brian Doyle and Kevin Warren, I'm Matt President. Thanks so much for watching the Prep Zone. We'll see you next week on DMV Stream.